Okay, time for US3. So Japan 3, we can see he did use some destroyer block, which I am happy to see. Um, Japan as a defense use destroyer blocks. Something I try to avoid because we can trade those really easily with the subs at a better value for us. He did clear my destroyer, and unfortunately, we got no hit back, so we did not get a hit back. So that was a wasted money. Well, that is just what it is. Nothing more to say about that. It just was a wasted money, unfortunately. The next step is getting these guys, this British or UK fleet, to safety, but being able to reach it into 48 next turn if possible. So before I get there, I should explain. US has enough that we can send a sub to each of these guys and fighters, and then send everything to 59, and it's like 55% chance defense. But we're gonna have to take, at this point in this game, we just gotta take that. So we're gonna take that 55% chance and stack this C zone 59 with the hope of getting to 48 on US4. Now, he built these destroyers, so I'm sure he'll throw a destroyer in 51 and 60 and prevent me from actually taking 48 in on US 4's turn. But if we can get to that C zone and we can stack it, then that'll be a great step. But we're going to need UK's help to do that. And I'm not even trying to predict how much we're able to do there or not. I'm not even sure if we're going to be if that's reasonable or not. But one way or another, we're going to need to get these guys over there into that safely. So we want to be within range of 48, but out of range of his units. But he put these 4 fighters with the carrier so they could go 1, 2, 3, or 3 or wherever, or 3 here, and then land on the carrier. So if I move these guys and fly this one fighter, 1, 2, 3, 4, and move these guys to C zone 45, I could have a carrier and 2 fighters and 2 subs for this one sub. But a carrier and 2 fighters, he could send 4 fighters and a bomber to me, and that would give him odds. But if even one fighter lives, he's got to move a carrier into C zone 49. So we would like to have C zone 49 dead zone for one, which if we come into 59, we will have 5 fighters sitting here. So if he would have to move his whole fleet on into there, and then that would expose him up in this direction. The other option, which I'm playing in my head as I'm trying to think this out, and perhaps having that second old-fashioned with 3 shots of whiskey in it, probably was not the best before taking my turn, but we will focus through this. If we go to 52, then we'd have all these boats and everything dead zoning 49 as well. And the best he could have is these 7 and a sub 8 in there, and we'd have more than enough to wipe them out and come down into 49, and that would be a nice advantageous. But if we're sitting in 59, and say he has some of these fighters live, so he could have 2 carriers, a cruiser, and let's say 2 fighters. So that'd be 5 units that lived there. These guys get wiped out. Well, now we're just talking about our 5 fighters attacking those 5 units, and that's not as strong, if you will, of an attack. So do we want season 52 or do we want season 59? I normally like 59 because it puts direct pressure right on this on a Tokyo, as well as potentially going deeper in if they don't block or defend it. And the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I'm kind of leaning towards a little more towards C-Zone 52, which is a little bit abnormal for me because I normally like being at 59 for that little extra pressure into the mainland, but they can always stop that. But in 52, the advantage there is he really can't block me from the Philippines unless he's going to use a cruiser block or a carrier block, I suppose, because these destroyers are up here. They can't get to 50 to block me from 48. So if I came here on 3, I may have a shot at U.S. taking Philippines on 4. I don't know that I'm going to have enough C units to defend there, even with the UK added in. That may not really be an option, but maybe it is. If nothing else, we'll be able to hopefully come to 49 with a block, and then we'd be able to move into one of these on US 5. So yeah, I think I'm actually leaning towards 52 now as I kind of talk through it. So our buys, I'm going to bring this up. Our defense, our main goal for U.S. is to improve our defense strength in the fleets early, and then our attack strength to then push the Japan fleet out of the way. But we now have 3 carriers and we have 6 fighters on the board, so we don't have that carrier advantage now of, okay, well, another carrier is going to be advantageous. So here we go. I'm going to bring this guy up just because I like this guy. So C defense, the best improved defense strength per IPC spent is a carrier if there's 2 fighters to land on it, a fighter if you have a carrier to land on, or 1 carrier and 1 fighter if you have 1 more fighter to land on it. But we don't have any of those cases. So now we're down into the lower part, and so now it's sub and destroyer have equal value as far as defense strength per IPC spent. All right, so 3 defense strength costs 6 IPC, 4 defense strength costs 8 IPC. That's a 0.5 defense strength per IPC. So both of them value-wise are the same. Cruiser 0.42, buying another carrier and 2 fighters would be down to that 0.41, but of course those 2 fighters are nice because they can go on land. But we're splitting hairs here in order to overcome the Japan fleet. So what about our eventually transitioning into a C attack phase? So again, a carrier, if there was 2 fighters to match that carrier, is the best value, but we don't have a carrier out there to match those 2. And then the sub comes in next because it's a attack strength of 4 plus sneak attack, which isn't even really included in that, for 6 IPC, and then a carrier and a fighter and so forth. And then that destroyer is down here at 0.5 again. So sub is 0.5 and 0.67. Destroyer is 0.5 and 0.5. So in this case, the sub has slightly more advantage in a pure per IPC build. Defense strength or attack strength per IPC build, the sub is going to be the better value. Now, the problem with subs is they can't defend against air. So we're talking about in a major, full stack defense and attack strength that we're talking about. But if we have too many subs and not enough surface fleet versus their air, we're in trouble. So let's do a quick recheck on the number of air he has. He's got 4 fighters. 7, 8, 10? 10 air? 2, 3, 6, 10 air. Yeah, so he's got 10 Air Force. Well, the good news is we're going to have 6 fighters alone, plus we've already got 7 destroyers and carriers inbound. So we got a good surface fleet to defend against that. So the sub value actually becomes key here. So we just go, let's spam subs. Well, we got 2 IPC left, so let's go ahead and splurge for a destroyer while we're at it, because again, we will need them. And so that's what we're going to do. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just want to make sure we can still get down to our fleet that we're playing on 52. This guy can go 1, 2, 3, 4. He too can do it, so might as well send an extra one there. And we'll plan on going down to that 52. We're saving as many Russians as we can for dead zoning, although we can't really dead zone. We can dead zone enough to hopefully make them commit a Japan fighter or two into Caucasus in order to take it with the G4 stack. So if we can pull just a few Japan units over, that gives us a little bit more wiggle room to move over here, right? Because if they have to use a fighter here, they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, but they can't get to that C-Zone 48, which is where I'm hoping to go on US4. So we want to have as much as we can, creating as much stress on here as we possibly humanly can. So we're going to let US take them. It doesn't hurt for US to get that money anyways. The other interesting thing I forgot to talk about here is the Africa play, right? So I'm not even sure in hindsight why I really even put these guys here. Yes, we could use them on the battleship, but they're so important right now. For every single fighter is going to be needed for the defense of Moscow on G5 and G6 to just even make it to G7, that we're not going to use these to attack here and land over here. It's just not realistic because they're going to be too far out of the game and not be helpful for what we really need them to be helping defend. So, not really sure that this was really, there was any advantage to putting them there, because I do expect him to just go ahead and come on in there. So that means the Americans, they have to be ready to take care of Egypt. Now, he did move his Japan sub to 37, so he's keeping me from going to 29, which is where I really wanted to go to, of course, because then I could go to DEI. But I can slide into 33, and the sub can't reach me. German bomber, 1, 2, 3, 4, but he can't land, so he can't reach there. Japan bomber, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he can't land. So the naked transport will be safe here. So I think we're going to move one naked transport to here with our fighter and bomber hanging around to help dead zone Egypt and hopefully finish off these guys. And I'll have to, they'll be sacrificing the transport, but that's okay. My other transport can head off this direction and start heading in this way where they can go US3, US4, US5, US6, helping take out the islands, which we're going to need anyways. So we're going to slide one of them back this way, one of them around this way to help support Egypt. Or I could send the one back up this way to grab these guys and start shucking down to Africa, because we're going to need that pretty soon. But I think I'm going to need them in here faster, so we're going to go that direction. Of course, we're hoping to take this for the sake of Russia, or at least kill the guy so that the Russian tank can blitz in and out. There we go. Good hit. Good miss. We could really use a 2-for-2 trade up here with no losses. Make him use his destroyers to take them out, or I pull them on down to helping out with the rest of the Philippine stack in the US4 turn. Good hit. Lots of good hits. Good miss. Good miss. All right. Nice. That's nice. That makes up for us losing our destroyer with no hitbacks. I'll take that. And like I said, so these two are in here, so even this guy can go 1, 2. This guy can go 1, 2 if we can get through C-Zone 60 next turn, with that goal of trying to get to 48. I'm really, the Moscow bit, there's no doubt we'll make it to G6. I think there's a chance. Really? I think there's a chance that we can make it to G7. There we go. Thank you. I think it's very minimal to no chance we make it to G8. So it's important that we're taking these islands 4, 5, and then we got to be quick on our development from there. All right. I think we're going to use the tank for one of these guys. I think we're going to just move him to here. That way, if he only has one unit survive here by chance, then maybe we just take the tank and we don't have to worry about sacrificing the transport, and we pull the transport back and free this transport to go back over to USA and not sacrifice him by having the tank there. But the 2 units, plus we're going to have the fighter and the bomber threatening. Now, where do we want to put the bomber exactly is the question. We don't need him up in Moscow this turn, so I think we are going to go ahead and put him one down here in India. I'm almost tempted to put this sub somewhere awkward for him, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think we're best just coming on down here. And I did not use that transport to take this island because I don't want to risk losing my infantry yet. I want to be able to have the 2 infantry plus my fighters to be able to attack Philippines as cleanly as we can, because we need the 2 guys on here to last through the islands. He's got no Japan units here, so there's no threat on Alaska. So I think we're going to move on down here, and these guys really aren't any advantageous. Oops. Here, I like to have my guys sitting in central USA, because then they can come up to here to be picked up, or they can come over here with a build of a transport. So we'll work back towards central USA just for that sake. Now, I didn't really leave anybody in range of 63 other than this sub, but I expect him to kill that sub with a destroyer now. Anything he puts into there we'll be able to kill. But even if he sends a destroyer and planes up here to kill this sub, they'll be pretty far out of the picture at least. All right, so Russia's turn here. We're going to get 17 IPC. So I'm not attacking anything. We're not going to gain, or we're going to get this guy, sorry. So we'll get 19 IPC. Is that right? I was thinking I was going to be short. So we got 17 currently. We're hoping to grab those 2, so that would give me 19. I could save 2 to make 21, but I think, again, I'm more interested right now in making him commit Japan planes to Caucasus. So we're going to build a couple artillery just to make him think again. It's not that he won't be able to do it, but he'll have to use more J air here, which will help us free up our US4 turn. So we're going to go with it. Now, what do we use here? I'm going to use the fighters. I just feel like we can't be afraid. We can't let the AA scare us. Looking at the odds, and again, we just got to play a little bit on the risky. I think I'm going to send the 3 infantry rather than 2 infantry and artillery again, just so I can pull as much artillery back here to dead zone Caucasus as much as I humanly possibly can. And I believe this still gives me, let me pull the calculator real quick. 3 infantry, 2 fighter versus 2 infantry and an AA still leaves me a 78% chance of conquering. And I think I got to take a 78% shot. Otherwise, if we just sent 2 infantry and artillery by itself, it's a 53% chance. No chance of a fighter getting hit, but it's a 53% chance. If we sent 3 infantry and artillery, it's a 79% chance. Ooh. Normally I am so... Yeah, that's using 1 more unit. Uses 1 more artillery, so we're sacrificing an artillery versus our current play, but the odds of taking it are the same. No risk to a fighter or 1 less artillery, but man, every unit plays a role. But losing the fighter would be horrible. Let's do 1 more calculation on Caucasus. Oh man, this is a tough decision, and I know it's just so splitting hairs, but if we lose 1 fighter, losing 1 fighter loses an attack strength of 5. Losing 1 artillery, using 1 extra artillery to attack, loses an attack strength of 5. If I lose a fighter to the AA, we lose a defense strength, which is the most important thing, of 6, versus an artillery, using extra artillery uses a defense strength of 4. So I can either guarantee losing defense strength of 4, attack strength of 5, or I could risk not losing either of that, or I could lose defense of 6, attack of 4, or even, potentially defense of 12 and attack of 8. Oh, are you feeling lucky today, Chris? Are you feeling lucky? That's the question. Because that 1 unit, it seems silly, but that Moscow battle always comes down to 1 unit. So 3 infantry and 2 fighters, or 3 infantry and 1 artillery. What would you do? What would CB do? CB doesn't know what he wants to do. I want to hit the button. Okay, so I know this is, I've been babbling on this, and I'm torn on this decision. It's more risky to do it this way. The chances of winning Corellia from the start of the battle is the same either way, in essence. The value is the fact that we save an artillery for both dead zoning, making him use one more fighter have to come in, and that's one more unit for defending Moscow later if we did it this way. But if the AA gets a hit, then we've actually done ourselves harm. The attack strength's still the same, but we lose some defense strength in the end. But it's defense strength of 2 that we lose more. I'm just doing it. I'm doing. I'm just going. Go, Chris. Don't even, you can't think twice. Whew. Okay. Breathe. Hit. Yes. Thank you. Oh, wait, we got one more hit to go still. It's torture splitting hairs like this. But that one unit can make a huge difference, as we're going to see when it comes to, do we stay in Moscow on R6 or not? It could be the difference of one unit. So, y'all may be thinking I'm crazy sweating over that tiny, minuscule decision, but it's a huge one. And we needed to win this to prevent any builds here, so that he's got to build from back here still. And now he's got to send, that also means he has to send at least 2, if not more, units this way. I imagine I'll probably send some tanks up that way to deal with it, but that helps me with my defense. So then that also then brings in, does he attack the transport or not? And so we survived. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the bomber can't reach there. Man, such stress. Trying to decide, I could probably spare a couple units and stack Vologda at least against them, right? So he's got 31, 34, 39, 40. So 26 plus the 7 is 33, 36, 37, 38, 39, 31, 34, 39. It's tight. Tighter than I'd like it to be, at least. So let's see about this. Phew. 1. I almost missed these guys moving in. Whew. I decided I'm not going to. I'm hanging at like a 30%. I could move 2 infantry in here and still be hanging at 60% at major negative IPC for him, and I would allow. I'm okay with that. He'd only have the 2 infantry and a bomber. A bomber down here that could attack. But that is 2 infantry less on Caucasus, meaning he could send 1 less fighter to defend. So I really want to draw as much of the Japan fighters into Caucasus this turn to give you U.S. freedom on US4. So I think we're just going to let Japan get Vologda free, unfortunately. As much as I'd rather not, we're going to. We could always maybe pick off one of these guys with this guy or something. I don't know. Anyways, there we go. Oh, well, we can finish out the turn, I guess. I did want to have as much pressure as I can put onto here to make him hopefully, possibly, potentially think a little bit about it at the very least have to pull some Japan fighters in there to make that move, because he's got no backup. So I could take that attack, and he's got backup, I guess. These guys will be coming in, but we'll be able to build, and I would take that attack. If he gave me an advantageous attack there, I would have to take it.